Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Recently, one of our fans, John Davis, sent me an essay where he basically discusses why he thinks that Force users don't really need lightsabers and can just rely on the Force alone for combat reasons. I thought this was a really cool topic that we could discuss here today on this channel. So the Jedi Order has a very unique relationship with the lightsaber. You see, when younglings first come to the Jedi Order, they are trained in the basics of being a Jedi, sans lightsaber. All younglings must then go through a trial to become a Padawan. This trial involves journeying over to a hidden Jedi world known as Ilum and entering an ancient Jedi temple in which the younglings must find their first kyber crystal. This kyber crystal is a semi-sentient object that forms the core of a lightsaber. It has a unique ability to not only turn energy into a plasma blade, it can also amplify energy. As a matter of fact, some of the early Death Star research for the main laser weapon was disguised as a groundbreaking energy program. A crystal that can amplify energy essentially creates free energy, which would have dramatic effects on any society. And so a lightsaber isn't just some random tool, it's actually quite a remarkable piece of engineering. And the Jedi Order actually actively sought out most of the kyber crystals in the world and also lobbied the Republic government to basically keep them out of the hands of private collectors, scientists, and researchers. They wanted these kyber crystals all for themselves. You see, they saw kyber crystals and lightsabers as essentially sacred objects, and so whenever Anakin Skywalker would lose his lightsaber, Obi-Wan would always try to remind him,
"This weapon is your life."
It's also written in the Jedi Code, not in the main area, but in the miscellaneous tenets section, that a lightsaber is the symbol of the Jedi Order. So it goes beyond just being a tool for the Jedi to use. It basically represents them. If you see a lightsaber on an individual, you know most likely they are a Jedi, and you probably should not try to shoot at them with a blaster. The Sith also use lightsabers, of course, but let me explain why the Jedi specifically rely more on their lightsabers. The Jedi philosophy of wielding the Force has always been diametrically opposed to the Sith. The Jedi pursue harmony with the Force and see themselves as living conduits for this energy field. It was the goal of individuals like Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda to eventually become one with the Force and abandon the physical realm completely and become one with the cosmic Force. The Sith, on the other hand, sought power and domination, not just over people, but over the Force itself. And to them, everything was a tool to be used and bent to their will. And so a Jedi's relationship with the Force is very different from a Sith's relationship to the Force. It ultimately means that both sides also had different Force abilities. For the most part, the Jedi will use passive abilities that involve gathering information about their surroundings and understanding what people are thinking. The few more active abilities that the Jedi have are usually non-lethal. You have stuff like telekinesis, Jedi mind tricks, and stasis. Anyone playing a Star Wars role-playing game in the last few decades will probably have some experience with the limitations of the Jedi's power tree. If you really want to have a lot of fun with the Force, you have to go over to the dark side because the Sith have the best abilities. You can electrocute people with Sith lightning, choke them to death with the Force, throw your lightsaber like a boomerang, and even stop people's hearts with a snap of your finger. Now, the reason why Jedi and Sith have different abilities is because the Force itself is aligned with dark side energy and light side energy. Dark side energy naturally is more aligned with death and decay, not necessarily evil, but generally bad stuff that just naturally happens. Sith lightning, for instance, corrupts the flesh. That's why Palpatine's face gets all shriveled up and nasty. And only the Sith really have the proper emotional state and true hatred that can allow them to bring out this dark side Sith energy. A Jedi, for instance, can create Force lightning, but it doesn't have the same potency and malice behind it. It's for the same reason why Sith are generally terrible at healing wounds and illnesses, whereas the Jedi are well practiced in this school of the Force. So one of the primary reasons why the Jedi have to use a lightsaber is that most of their Force powers are just not destructive or potent enough, usually, in combat situations. Also, a lightsaber allows a Jedi to kill or disarm someone without using the Force. Pure actions of destruction through the Force is generally dark side shenanigans and therefore banned by the Jedi. Now, this isn't a completely watertight argument because one does get into a trance when using a lightsaber, and you could kind of flow towards the dark side if you let hatred overcome you while you're dueling someone. So there is still a danger with lightsabers. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting about lightsabers is that they're one of the best defenses against an enemy's Sith energy. Sith energy, for instance, can be dispelled by the blade of a lightsaber. You could also dispel it with your face or hands, but obviously that's less effective and more harmful. Combined with certain combat forms like Vapad, used by Mace Windu, a lightsaber can even reflect Sith lightning back towards the person sending it out. Now, during the Golden Age of the Republic, which lasted from the Ruusan Reformation up until the Clone Wars, it was actually quite rare for a Jedi to have a duel with a Sith Lord, or even a Dark Jedi. And that was because aside from the Jedi, there just weren't that many Force users around. Now, you're probably thinking, well, if the Jedi don't have to fight other Force users, then why would they need a lightsaber, right? And you'd be right to a certain degree. For the most part, the absence of the Sith definitely led to some degradation in lightsaber skills in the Jedi Order, but only dueling lightsaber skills. Because it just so happens that a lightsaber is also terrific at blocking incoming blaster rounds, which now replace Sith lightsabers as the greatest threat to the Jedi Order. While some Force users were powerful enough to halt blaster rounds with the Force, it was an ability that took quite a lot of skill, practice, and energy. A lightsaber deflection is much simpler and driven by a Jedi's passive ability to perceive close dangers and threats. And so, in this period of time, having a lightsaber is almost essential. In Form 3 of lightsaber combat, which was a defensive shell strategy specifically designed to be used against blaster-wielding opponents, became especially popular. Now, a Jedi has a wide range of non-lethal and social options too that can help kind of make combat scenarios a lot easier to deal with. Some Jedi were masters at de-escalation, which allowed them to completely avoid a fight in the first place. Then you had powerful individuals and once-in-a-generation talents like Yoda, who could wield the light side of the Force with devastating consequences. Against a weaker opponent, Yoda could probably deactivate an enemy's lightsaber, or blaster remotely with the Force, or even put them all in stasis. Yaddle, who was a female member of Yoda's species, also had an ability known as Morikro, which sounds like a new protein option at Chipotle, but actually is a deadly Force ability which slows down an individual's bodily functions to the point where they basically die. But even with all of these skills and abilities, a Jedi does not have unlimited energy. They can get tired from using the Force just like anyone else. There's nothing more tiring than a battle between two Force users that involves solely using Force abilities. I mean, sure, we see Yoda and Sidious go at it for a bit like this, but we have to realize that these are perhaps two of the most powerful Jedi the galaxy has seen in decades. But what if you aren't restrained by the Jedi's fear of the dark side? Well, in that case, when we're talking about Sith Force users, I mostly agree with John's assessment that you probably don't need a lightsaber. A powerful Sith Force user, especially one with many years of experience using the Force, could technically solely rely on Sith Force powers in a battle. Palpatine and Count Dooku clearly are able to keep an enemy at bay with Sith lightning and telekinesis alone. Against a larger group of weaker opponents, Force lightning might be the better option than just a single lightsaber. But no matter how powerful a Jedi or Sith is, you'll rarely ever catch one without a lightsaber. And that's because one of the most important things you can do when fighting someone to the death is make sure that you have redundancy measures. Mandalorians are a perfect example of this. They are basically a walking weapons closet, and they have plenty of redundant systems to make sure that they always have an offensive and defensive move to get them out of a tricky situation. So there you have it, guys. I think John's argument has a lot of merit, but you know, at the end of the day, a lightsaber is a great backup tool. It's a great symbol. There are many different reasons why a Jedi will carry a lightsaber, and they aren't all combat related. Now, guys, if you want your own questions to be answered, try to reach us on Facebook. Give us a like and maybe send us a message. We'll link it down in the description below. Anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome YouTube content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.